Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about entry levels. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, hi Frederick, why is it that industries almost always ask for 5, 6 or maybe 10 years of experience when people are at an entry level? Who will give them experience if they don't start somewhere? Some other company. That's usually what it is about. Some other company will give them the experience. That's the general rule of thumb. Most companies is they're not interested in training people. They're interested in making money and getting results and so forth. And you're still in a state where it's feasible for you to get people to do development and so forth with the necessary skills. So why train people when you can simply hire them? Companies don't give two shits about your career. They are looking for someone to fill a role. And so what usually happens if you have less than this on your CV is that you, for the most part, you're trying to, in essence, find a company that is in that sweet spot mode where they have realized that the thing that they need is probably not a super senior developer for a specific task. They might want someone with less experience because it's cheaper, more affordable, etc., etc. And they have the necessary infrastructure or confidence or idea necessary in order to put you in an environment where that sort of thing can actually happen. And I like to tell people that can be a little bit of a bumpy road to get there. You probably, if you've seen any of my other videos about that, I usually tell people that the difference between a year of experience or 2 years or like something like that and nothing is enormous, like in terms of how much market value you have. It goes quite drastically upwards once you get you're starting to close in on 5 years, because as you're mentioning here, that's usually the time frame we're talking about. When you're at my level, like it's or like when you've worked for like several years and you've had a few roles in a few companies, it's at the point where you don't really have to look for work per se. I mean, unless you're looking for something specific, you will have offers just come to you most of the time, and that will start happening even earlier than that. But until that time, as I said, like nobody really wants to hire a junior software developer, and if they do want to hire a junior software developer, they're usually looking for people who have like fairly relevant skills. Like you're usually looking for an individual who is fast to learn, like all of these sorts of things, right? Because it's an investment for you as a company to teach this person something. And as I said, it's not about you. It is about that this company is looking for labor force, so like someone from the labor force to do something. And training you is something they will only do, as I said, if they have the means to do so. Most companies have the means, it's just that they don't really want to make that investment. I mean, if you look at the really gigantic super corporations, like they have enough money to train basically every programmer who comes in the door, but at the same time they need to deliver on business goals. And that's always a way off, because even just because you have the money to do something doesn't necessarily mean that that's good for you, because you're trying to maintain your competitive edge. And speed and reliability and so forth, these sorts of factors are always there. You're always in that battle between quality of software and delivery speed. And the best formula for getting both of those at the same time, well, it's sure as hell not by hiring a bunch of people who don't really know what they're doing. It's finding top talent. The problem is that there's only so much top talent you go around. So the trend that is now happening, which is a good thing overall for the people who might be struggling to get into the industry, I think at the very least, is that more and more companies are looking to hire the most seniors of seniors, and they're trying to orchestrate I like to say, I call it a simplification, because it's in essence what they're trying to achieve. They're trying to set up their company structures and their code systems and like everything that has to do with their systems in such a way that they can streamline the hiring process and they can streamline delivery processes. They want to simplify and empower, as they call it. They want to empower their teams. That's a very good thing. It's a very difficult thing to do, but it's in general a good thing for the thing that you are talking about. It's not just good for the company, but it's also good for their capacity to hire people who might need training. Because the thing is, guys, even if you will trust me when I say this, just because you get a gig before you're 5 years or like your entry level doesn't mean that that's going to be a good thing for you. If you get the wrong job, you're going to suffer. I promise you, I've been in these situations, guys. Like, my first job was a real shit show, to be honest. Like, I had stomach aches every single day. I had enormous amounts of stress, and people, like, it was a complete disaster in many ways, and extremely stressful for me. And the reason was because, you think that, okay, you're getting a chance, you're getting a shot now. Cool, I'm getting my foot in the door. And to a degree, that was true. But at the same time, the company that I went into, they were in no way prepared to have a junior developer. And I promise you guys, if you talk to a few juniors who've had that ride, where you get into like somewhere where like the company, like, they treat you as a disposable resource, basically. That's also something that I have made videos about, that I warn you for that, about that exact thing, where some companies have that as a part of their business model, like their hiring strategy. They'll hire you just to, like, basically use you and then throw you away, or throw you in the water and see that you can swim. That sort of process, like, it does, that's not either going to lead to any type of experience, or like, really, you're going to get some stuff on the CV, but I've also told you before, guys, if you get fired for being incompetent, even though you didn't really get a shot to begin with, like, you didn't really get any help or anything like that, that's still something that doesn't look all that good for you. And so that's why I tell you that, like, the companies, they're trying to, in their own way, because of course companies are focusing on themselves, to solve this problem. And they are trying to solve it by hiring people who are extremely experienced, so that you can hire people that have less experience. Because the problem is, as I said, if you just hire a bunch of people like juniors or mid-levels or something like that, and just put them in there, like, you're basically going to lose money on that, depending on your business model, because you need someone at the very least to oversee how to do things to start off with, because it takes years to get that good. And this is, as I've said before, guys, this is a talent industry. And so the good news is, at the very least, that the more companies who have access to truly extraordinary or very senior software developers, and have the right culture and mindset about things, will very quickly go from a point where they're only hiring seniors to a space where, well, actually, we have a pretty stable setup now, and it might make sense for us to hire some juniors as well. So what I want you to take away from this is that the people who give you experience is usually other companies. Now, that's the big challenge for a junior software developer or so forth, because most companies know that a real software developer, guys, 5 or 6 years, I can tell you, and I'm not joking now, 5 or 6 years is like nothing if you're thinking about seniority. It's just that that's where the range starts. Most people who have been working for 5, 6, guys, I've interviewed hundreds of people at this point, and I can tell you that 5 or 6 years doesn't necessarily mean that you're any good at software development. I've worked with guys who worked for 10 years who suck at the job, all the way up to 14 years or so forth. Like, they are not very good at what they do. The reason why we're looking at those sorts of numbers is because that's roughly the amount of time that it will take for you to get some really quality experience, so that you can be productive and sort of autonomous, and that's the idea at the very least, to be an active contributor without a lot of need for a lot of assistance. Now, that sucks, but it is sort of it's the only way most companies can run, because most companies, guys, they don't actually know how to structure their company in a way where they can take on juniors, even if they wanted to. Because the reality is, guys, just think about, like, if you try to picture from a different angle, when they put me in a team, or they put one of my coworkers in a team, literally our entire, like, they assume that we will just figure everything out. And we can, many of us can, because we have been trained before we got into that situation. It's sort of like, if they put you in that spot, you're gonna drown. You're gonna drown because it's like fitness. Like if you show up for the Olympics and you've never even taken off your running shoes and had a jog, you're going to kill yourself in that situation. So you can't just put any arbitrary person in that environment, because the complexity of the software development process is so high that it requires years and years and years to get good enough to sort of just be able to figure everything out. Because most companies, it's chaos. I'm telling you, it is basically chaos. It comes down to how good you are at all these various things, whether or not you're going to be able to survive in an environment, guys. And I have seen more than a few seniors in my day choke. They can't survive in a company. Like, we have to fire them even though they have years of experience, because they can't adapt to that chaotic environment. That's not a good place to be for a junior either. Even if it seems like, they're just being unfair to you. It's not just about being unfair, guys. It is literally that you are not able to do that job. I can basically guarantee you that even if you were to be given a shot in that environment, you're not going to be able to do it. So my point is, if you're looking to get into experience, finding companies that can give you that starting experience, what you're looking for are companies, as I said, who have stabilized a little bit, has enough money or budget or capacity to actually put you in an environment where you can take some time and just figure out the basics first. But as I said, that is not just about finding someone who's nice. It's about finding a company who has all those things down and is not in that really chaotic state that quite a lot of even the really large companies, especially large companies, where literally their only option is to hire super senior people because they are the only people who can survive in that company. Have a great day.